Okay. Hola, welcome one and all to Soul Mechanics. Step into my office. Um, this video is kind of a special one. It's going to be the second addition to the Anatomy of Identity playlist or course, and this is going to be presenting, hopefully, for most of the members of the Remnants of Tomorrow program. A whole hell of a lot of you, a bunch of people, 600 some odd people joined up very recently. There's 700 of you now, or no, there's 600 of you now. 610, I believe, at the moment. And welcome, all of you. Welcome to the investigation. Very, very happy to have you. I strongly encourage you guys to get involved. You can present anything that you want, any interests, any ideas, anything. We got to work together to collaborate here and create for ourselves a greater understanding that we can share with each other to go forth into the world and to make a difference. So that's what our intention is here, to make a difference. We want to do good for the world. We want to make alterations that are going to affect everyone in a positive manner, and essentially we want to save the world. That's what we're doing. So but for this particular program, we are, this is a facet of the initiative in a manner of speaking, but really I kind of went renegade from the initiative to make this, and a few people came with me. We have myself, Seth Rudfelt, Adela Tesla Trismegistus, and of course our magnificent operator, Kelly Gilbert, who has been really kicking ass out there in the field. Bad mamma jamma this one. Done a hell of a lot of damage already, and provided all kinds of cool, tricky little riddles and whatnot that are assisting you guys in ways you might not see yet. But we're going to get to that as the current plotted course is social programming. We're going to explain to you exactly what that is shortly, as soon as one of you at least figures it out and presents it. But in any case, then there's Frank Nieves. He's an old friend of the initiative, and he's one of the best travelers, the dream workers I've ever known, and he's very much going to be aboard. He's not going to be very active. He doesn't really even know how to use his phone so much yet, but we're going to encourage him. Frank, we're going to get you kicking ass here and helping people learn how to move deeper into their personalities and understandings of themselves. In any case, this particular video is going to be speaking to chakras ultimately, but it's we have to brush through the immediate elementary factors, coming forth from the aspect of value, which is the first video we brought to light in the Anatomy of Identity course, speaking to value as being the initial identity that exists, and we all kind of come forth from this one reality, this one identity. We're all kind of fractured pieces of this personality. That's the general idea we have. Now, people won't think of it that way. Nobody, or not nobody, but most people are not going to agree with me personally in looking at it that way. But ultimately, it's just that the idea that we are all pieces of one thing and one entity. You could say it's an identity. You could say that we're all fractured personalities of it, and either way, or you could say we're all just pieces of the greater whole, or you could say we're all holographic, representations of the whole, of the all. Whatever you say, it's all the same thing. It's just different ways of looking at it. My personal way of looking at it is a little crazy. I get that. Nobody has to agree with me, but we do have to work together to have a collective understanding here. Coming forth from value itself, we have the initial three values that put together reality for the most part, that create existence. That's gravity, memory, and relativity. Gravity is what just binds things. Gravity is what holds things together. It's what moves things. It may not necessarily be what we're considering gravity to be at the moment. In fact, I mean, there is a force obviously that moves things around, that connects things, holds things together, but we're talking about gravity on a minuscule scale, a quantum gravity. We're talking about very atomic structure holding itself together. There's a force in play doing that. And that's what gravity is. It holds everything together. It moves everything. It maneuvers everything. Somehow it winds and weaves its way through situations and guides each of us via synchronicities that most of us are unaware of. Most of the time, we're going to bring that to light here. This program is going to show you how life is interacting with you all the time. I really hope a lot of you guys tune in and keep on, because it's going to be fun. It's going to be a wild ride. But memory is, obviously, you could say memory is what we remember, but memory itself actually is anything that remembers to be what it is. So an atom, a molecule, anything that's maneuvering via some gravitational force, it is consistently remembering to be exactly what it was the moment before. And that's the only moment that really exists in ultimate reality. There's only right now. The past isn't happening. The future isn't happening. Right now exists, and now is continuously happening eternally. There, eternity is in play. We're going to get into how eternity is constructed even soon. That's going to be a fun one, but this will deal with these basics. Memory is just anything that remembers to be what it is. It follows a pattern. Memory is a kind of a pattern, I suppose you could say, just pattern itself, patterning. uh, Relativity is how the pieces that form, obviously gravity, memory, it's going to come together to form pieces, what we call shards, and the shards are going to come together to create reality. There's different for information. They're going to maneuver information, and that's where we come up with the term information. It's memory via gravity presenting as some kind of a projectile in eternity. And relativity is how these pieces interact with each other and how they, what causal effect they have upon each other. If you look into Einstein presented relativity, we were not really aware of this aspect functioning before then. Einstein kind of invented relativity, you could say, and that's still a process that's unfolding. Relativity itself is going to be changing in the near future, and it's going to be likely we will largely have a hand in making that happen, because we're going to be dabbling with the actual resource technology of existence. We're going to be tinkering with the values in play and causing major changes in the way that things operate. What we're seeking to accomplish really is to create a kind of directive relativity wherein we all have a direct impact on reality as it stands, and we're all aware of the actual power that we have as individual observers and how we can affect each other in the world around us. We're trying to empower everyone. So that's our goal, I suppose you could say. But in order to do that, we have to be aware and lucid of what's actually, we have to be, acutely aware of what's actually happening, awake. We have to understand, in fact, that we are dreaming right now. In quantum mechanics, we find that in the findings of quantum mechanics, we come to find that our observation of reality affects it. That when we view something, essentially it comes together and forms itself right in front of us in the present moment, in direct relation to our direction of it. When you look at something, you expect for it to be something, and it becomes that for you in an instant. This is hard science. This is real truth. We see this happening. Winky, stop it. Bad kitty. She's a bad kitty. Fucking tearing my shit apart, man. Come on. It's like a yoga mat or something. Leave it alone. Anyway, we are of the understanding that our directive influence is conjuring reality. Really, we cause for reality to happen, and then we experience it in the brain via feedback signals. That gets us to coming to the chakras. Um, the human entity is a perfect metaphor for existence itself. It's kind of a layered object in reality that becomes consciousness, and this consciousness is very, very how would you put it? It's an intricate, it's very intricate and unique idea that I mean, matter can exist all over the place, but without consciousness, it doesn't really have any presence at all. It's not real. Consciousness is what causes for things to be real. Our awareness of something is what makes it real, and in fact, our understanding of it is what we consider to be reality, not the actual thing. Most of us do not actually see the value in play. We see aspects that we've attached to it, and we experience that as feedback in the brain. So, spotters are trained to see the values in play so that we can understand how other people are seeing things, so that we can look out for each other. If I'm with you and I know you well enough, I know what values you have in play as a person. I can understand how you're going to view reality and what changes you are going to have upon it. And in that way, I can look ahead of you. I can look at what you're looking at and make sense of it for you and help you out in that regard. And when two spotters are together, they can do amazing things. It's really fun playing with synchronicity, but we'll get into that later. Anyways, the chakras are what we think of as a 7-layer system. There's actually a hell of a lot more of them that we're not aware of yet. There's going to be a few mistakes in our understanding of it, or missing pieces rather, because it's this is still a developing understanding. It's not nothing is really absolutely known yet. We're discovering it as we go along. We could say that we're making it up as we go along, and that's why the Remnants program is going to be effective, because we're going to go along of the understanding that we do in fact have the authority, the presence of authority, and personal consideration to invent our own reality as we move. And we're going to determine what really happens, the actual technologies in play that are consistent between all of us, and we're going to come to a collective understanding. Now, the chakras, what form the human entity, you could say they're kind of like layers that come out from a root, and these pieces, these engines, come together like etheric motors of the soul, like Jordan said in his video. If you saw the earlier video I made with Rachel, they are the key components in creating consciousness and creating the anatomy of identity, essentially. At the base, there's thought of as being a root chakra at the bottom, at the base of the spine, that deals with sexuality and deals with issues of survival, reproduction, deals with concrete, solid, grounded root issues of reality, survival, instinct, uh, and of course lust and sexuality. Now, there are actually 3 little chakras down there. This is representative of the initial fracturing. There is one source, one soul, and then there is aspects that present coming off of 3 initial values, 3 fractured values that, obviously are representative of memory, gravity, and relativity, or whatever else you call them. In The Legend of Zelda, they were courage, wisdom, and power. But originally knowledge and power. That was a riddle, by the way. So then the chakras come off of there, and we're going to identify and deal with each one specifically, because this is important to understand for practice with Kundalini Impulse, the Kundalini Impulse. But the way that these engines, as I call them, the way that these chakras operate in conjunction with each other, that the chakras in physical reality as they manifest are actually nerve clusters at the spine. They come off of the spine, and they're the nerve clusters that are attached to major organ systems. These are the systems, the major organ systems of your body. The 3 initial chakras being, for in a male body, the testicles and the root, or in the female body being the eggs and the root, or the ovaries and the root. And then these further move on to other nerve clusters that attach to glandular systems, attached to major organ systems, the heart, throat, the brain. And obviously it's going to be the brain that's controlling what happens, and it's going to be receiving feedback through these filters of what you experience based on how your chakras are tuned. For the most part, you kind of tune them up. You have frequencies. Your brain is sending signals to them, and those frequencies change depending on your psychological understanding, based on what you think, based on the traumas if you have psychological traumas in your past, things that are blocking your understanding, things that are holding you back, things that are frightening you for the most part, that's going to block off certain aspects of the electricity that's flowing through these nerve clusters. And it's going to basically, your brain is going to be acting in defense of itself. It's going to be blocking off certain portions of these nerve clusters and of your shot, the energy running through your chakras in defense because it's afraid of something. We need to clear up that fear. That's what we're working at. Ultimately, we need to clear up all the fear and get that impulse running full measure. And this can be a dangerous process. Believe me, I've been through the worst of it. So I'm going to guide you guys as best I can without any problems whatsoever. Just follow my lead, and obviously you can step in and present any leads you have, any concepts, anything you want to add or alter. It's entirely up to you, and I will follow suit. I'm your director. I work for you. I'm the director of the initiative. Essentially, Seth Rudfelt is intended to be the director of the Remnants project. We'll see. How he handles that role, but he's a great guy. I'm sure he'll do fine. It's just he's got to be alert and active more, move a little faster. That's all. Seth, if you see this, I hope you do. We still got to do that interview. Anyways, we think of there being the 7 major chakras. Obviously, there's 3 at the base, and then there's ones attached to the extremities. So ultimately, we come out with 13 in total. We're going to explain all of those and how they operate and what the purpose of them is, and how your psychology is affecting the function of them. These chakras are like a tuning fork. They're like your brain and your nervous system is like a transceiver for consciousness itself, and the way that they're arranged, essentially these chakras kind of calibrate your automated trajectory system. They calibrate your sensory perceptions. They even calibrate your comprehension of dimensional quality, which we're going to get to all of that. We're going to cover everything, but this is just made based. This video is just to introduce the very concept of the chakras and what they actually are, because a lot of people toss out the idea. They think, ooh, that's woo or wishy-washy or whatever they want to say at the time. Nowadays, the kids with woo, they don't understand something, so they call it woo and toss it out. Don't bother looking into it. But the chakras are very much physical, material, biological organs in the body that we are very well aware exist, and we have a pretty solid understanding of how they function. So we're going to be working with those one by one individually throughout this course. Of course, there are going to be other aspects that we need to deal with throughout, so it's going to be interspersed together, but we're going to get it covered as quickly as is possible. I'm going to need you guys to give me input here. If you don't agree with something, I need you to tell me that, because I'm going to put into this channel whatever I am of the understanding we all understand. So you got to tell me if you don't agree with something, or if you have a better idea. Get engaged, get active, and of course support the channel. Like and subscribe, and just get engaged. This is going to be a big deal. We're going to get this rolling. We're going to kick a lot of ass here. You guys be fucking excellent all the time. I dearly love every one of you, even though I really haven't met any of you yet. The Remnants program, but the initiative people, you're all my people, and the Remnants program, I'll try to meet with you guys and get to know you guys. You're very welcome to contact me anytime you like with any questions or concerns you might have. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for attending. Class dismissed. Kila Salai Terveuni Siari Namaste.